Thank you so much. I'm really excited to deliver this workshop for you all and kick off this new series. I think this is going to be so exciting, and hopefully those of you who are attending today, and those of you who maybe will catch the replay later, will be able to attend the two other discussions that we have set up after this one, because they build off of each other and they're going to be really fun. So for just some quick housekeeping rules, I always get distracted by the chat, so I'm going to go ahead and shrink the chat so that I don't see it. And we will take some questions at the end. I'm happy to be as transparent as I absolutely can be and answer any questions about your particular business as you have them pertaining to what you've learned today. And as I said before, I'm really excited to be here and deliver this workshop for Savvy Ladies. We absolutely love what you all do. We love your community, and we're really excited for this great partnership together for this series and beyond. So I'm a big fan of just getting started and just jumping right to it. So let's go ahead and do so. So what I love to do with all of my talks is really set the stage for why this is important. And I'll give you a quick intro about me here in just a moment. So why is marketing and branding important? Why is brand positioning 101, and particularly the fundamentals, so critical for businesses? Well, these are a few reasons why. 83% of womenpreneurs report that, quotes, communicating the value of what they do is one of their biggest struggles. Let us know in the chat if this resonates with you, right? Can you quickly and concisely say exactly what you do, who you help, why you help them, and what makes you unique? And if you can't, if that's a struggle for you, you are among the many of business owners who have a really hard time summarizing this, what we call brand platform, in a really concise and meaningful way. The other reason this is really important to kind of set the stage for today is that differentiation is always a topic of conversation for any business, right? How do we differentiate ourselves? And you could be a small business or a big business. You'll see in my background here that I'll share in just a moment, I've worked with some pretty big global brands all the way to working one-on-one with startup founders. And even the big dogs have issues with this. They just have more money and more resources to expend to figure it out, right? And potentially more time and a bigger team. But differentiation is the key critical thing for most business owners. The other thing I'd like to set the stage for today is that you have to crawl before you can walk. Of course, this is true of all entrepreneurship. I'm sure all of you attending today are at different stages of your entrepreneurial journey. Maybe you're just getting started. Maybe you've been a veteran entrepreneur and you're wanting to launch something new or change your business around. When it really comes to marketing and branding, the key thing to know is that you have to crawl before you can walk. And I love to use this example of, like, a lot of small business owners really try to just set their sights on their Instagram followers, their Pinterest followers, their website traffic, and all of that is great. These are all great metrics to think about and to look at. But at the end of the day, if we don't understand how our brand is positioned and how we are converting that audience into paid customers, it doesn't matter if you have 1 million followers. If those followers are not intentionally looking to you to buy at some point in their journey, those followers are actually useless in terms of a marketing strategy perspective. So again, it's really important to understand that you have to crawl before you can walk. These are building blocks that you put one foot in front of the other and you learn as you go. And we'll dive a little bit deeper into that today as well. The other thing I'd like to share is marketing mistakes are really costly. I know sometimes this is like, duh, okay, we understand that. But, to really break this down, some of the biggest mistakes I see founders make is they market to the wrong people, right? So they don't really have a clear understanding of who their audience is, or their audience is not niche enough, or they don't understand how they can differentiate their business offerings for that particular audience. And then in doing so, they could potentially confuse their audience with mixed messages, which leads to failed product launches and campaigns and overall fatigue, right? And then at the end of the day, not understanding the basics, you end up laying a cracked foundation for your company. I have tons of women that I've mentored and worked with over the years who have literally spent thousands of dollars, wasted effort and time trying to do something or build something, and they ended up taking a wrong turn somewhere because I didn't know the basics. And so you guys can probably tell I could probably harp on this a lot. Even some of the most advanced entrepreneurs that I've worked with, even they sometimes forget the basics, and we have to go back and understand the root of what we're doing. So we're going to dive into that today. So I really just kind of wanted to set the stage for kind of what we're going to be talking about. And then I also have one challenge for you. We have about 45 minutes-ish of time. And I know it's a Monday. I know, we can kick off the week and be crazy. So I'd love to just encourage you all to turn off your phones, turn off your email, kind of just zone into what we're working on today and what we're talking about. And the reason for that is, as founders, and particularly as women, right, we have a lot of identities and we're always spinning multiple plates. We're like constantly juggling a circus in our lives. And so we oftentimes forget to carve out time to work on our business instead of working in our business. And this is really an opportunity for us to work on your business today. So I'd love to encourage you for about the next 45 minutes, just really zone in, take some notes, and quiet the rest of your surroundings. All right, so let me give you a quick background about me. I promise I will make this very, very, very fast. So this was me about 10 years ago, pimple-faced and all. I'm happy to report that that dog is still around. He's about going on 15 now, actually. So I was raised by a single mom, and I'm a daughter of a hairstylist. My mom is a hairstylist to this day. I'm from a tiny little town suburb called Orange Park, Florida, which is basically a suburb of Jacksonville, Florida. So anybody from Jacksonville in the house, say hello. I bartended for over 7 years to put myself through school. And in this photo, I was fresh out of college, with absolutely no plan of what to do with my life, tons of debt from school, and no clue of what I was going to be doing. Through a series of interesting events, I became an entrepreneur. I have a whole blog about that. Happy to share that on a later date. And then what's most important about my journey is I've learned everything I know about marketing and branding by doing, trying, failing, learning, and succeeding. I did not go to school for marketing. I do not have any formal education in marketing. I double majored in fine arts and communications. So communications is adjacent study, of course. And marketing was always of interest to me, but I didn't formally learn how to be a marketer. I figured out all this stuff on my own over the course of 10 years, and it was hard and it was challenging and really, really rewarding. And the reason I like to say that is because there's sometimes this incorrect preconceived notion that only unicorns and magical people can really be good marketers. And that's not the case. At the end of the day, you as the business owner, if you know your customer and you know the pain points and you know what they want out of life and what they need from you, you can be an excellent marketer, even if you're not classically trained in this discipline. Yeah, sure, there's definitely resources that you need to know, fundamentals you need to understand. We'll cover some of those today, but really anyone can learn the basics of how to be their own business's advocate and how to talk to customers in a way that really resonates with them and authentically represents your business. And so if you are intimidated by marketing, if it overwhelms you, like most business owners, I want you to understand that you can learn it. And hopefully it won't take you 10 years to get there, like I did, but you can learn it. And that's really why my company exists, is to help women, short circuit that timeline. And so now this is kind of like where I am now. As Maggie said, my name is Jessica Korthuis. My last name is Dutch. My husband's from Amsterdam, and so it's pronounced Korthuis, even though it looks like Korthuis. I am a two-time entrepreneur and founder of my now current company, So House. As Maggie said, we create branding and marketing educational resources. We have all kinds of amazing things to help female entrepreneurs really understand the ins and outs of marketing so they can really learn to brand their businesses in a way that's meaningful to them. We want marketing to be not as complicated as it seems and give founders the resources to be able to have them tell their unique stories. And as I mentioned, I'm self-taught. I've got over 10 plus years marketing and branding experience from this point forward. And prior to launching my now company, I actually co-founded my first company, which was a branding and marketing boutique agency. And so I was the co-founder and agency director of that company as well. As Maggie said, I've been featured on some really great media over the years. I've done some work with TEDx Women. Stanford University was my client. I've worked with Red Bull, Bloomingdale's Girls Who Code. I've got a few pieces featured on Thrive Global. And I've also done work over the years with the European Union as well as the US Department of State to help build entrepreneurial programs all over the world. I worked with a nonprofit that did that, and it was really amazing. I've also led strategy for 2 global nonprofits, and I've worked with brands focused on global expansion. What's something else I wanted to share? Lastly, I'm a mentor for several larger entrepreneurial organizations like the Founder Institute, which is the world's largest global seed accelerator program. I've guest lectured for the Watson Institute for Social Entrepreneurship and a few other academic institutions as well. And at the end of the day, I share all of this because I'm just profoundly humble, gracious, and thankful for all of these experiences that I've just acquired over the years. And it's absolutely never been easy. And even now, as we grow, as I grow as a leader, as our company grows, we learn more and more and more. Hopefully that all of this will contribute to me being a better leader and a better business owner. But most importantly, my biggest role of all is being a mompreneur. I wear that badge proudly. So any mamas in the house, please say hello. Everything I do and create in life is to be able to bring my vision to life for my family. This is my daughter, Aiden. So when I'm not leading teams, teaching, or leading global strategy, I'm usually playing sticker wars or jumping on the trampoline or just doing whatever. So that's a little bit about my background, kind of like where I started, where I am now, what I'm working towards, and what we're up to. So hopefully that will resonate with you. And lastly, I love to show my why. So what is my why? I love teaching and I love educating female business owners and aspiring entrepreneurs. And this is why I believe these things. I believe that when women have the opportunity to launch their own businesses and create wealth for themselves and their families, communities thrive and the world just simply works better. Let's get a hell yeah for that in the chat, please. We all know that when women are at the helm of innovation and creating ideas, the world just functions as a much better place. I also believe that marketing does not have to be so goddamn complicated, because it is complicated. So we're going to hopefully help you unpack that today. I also believe that all business owners and aspiring entrepreneurs should have the tools and the opportunity to create brands that they really love and that they're proud of. And then lastly, nobody wins a prize for doing it alone, right? When you get to the top of the mountain, hopefully when we all get there, no one's going to applaud you for being there by yourself. So it's really about community support, and mentorship is everything, which is a big part of what I do and what I believe in. Okay, so that's a little bit about me. That's my belief system. That's where I'm at. Nice to meet you. Okay, so let's jump into the goods. So the first thing I want to talk about today is the cardinal rule of marketing. It is a simple rule. It's very much the crux of brand positioning, and everyone always forgets it. And it's a very simple rule to follow, and this is the rule. The rule is marketing is no longer about the stuff you sell, but the stories that you tell. So Seth Godin, who's been a giant in this space forever and ever, coined this saying. I wish I could take credit for it, but I cannot. And what this means is, in a world where everyone is selling some version of what someone else is doing, right? Building a brand that is unique, different, and sellable boils down to the story that your brand tells. It really boils down to what you stand for, what your brand represents, what does your brand mean for the greater good, for the greater whole. And I'll give you some examples here in a little bit. So House alone is a really good example. How many marketers can you think of? There's like a gazillion of us, right? And so what I do, even though I might have a special sauce or a way that I like to do it, there's tons of amazing marketers out there, a lot of which we partner with and we work with, right? But people ultimately end up engaging with us because they really believe in what we do and our values really align with their values. And that's really what Seth means here, is that marketing is no longer about what you sell. It's really the story that you tell. So let's dig into that. So here's some hard facts. There are no more silver bullets in marketing. I'd hate to tell you this, but this is the truth. And what I mean by that is no amount of money, special lead generation tactics, pay-per-click ads, tools, tricks, or otherwise are a match to solid, consistent, authentic, meaningful storytelling, right? Yes, you can use those things to scale your growth once you have that initial growth, but there's no shortcut anymore. And that's just how it is, unfortunately. Long gone are the days that you could just dump thousands of dollars into Facebook ads and buy your way to the top. Search engines are smarter than all of us. They run our lives. If you've been trying to hack the Instagram algorithm, you know that painfully already. And over the past 10 years or more, the one thing that has consistently stayed the same is the consistent, meaningful storytelling. So if you can get that down, you can then figure out how to leverage the other parts of digital marketing that are really going to scale your impact. But if you don't have that initial story, that initial reason for existing, your brand's not going to make it over time. And so your story is the reason that you show up every single day to do what you do. Doesn't matter if you're selling brownies, doesn't matter if you're making skincare, doesn't matter if you have a coaching business, doesn't matter if you like to write. You don't have to save the world to have an amazing business. It's really about your story, your business's unique identity. And so that's the number one question I'm going to pose to you today, is to really think about is, what is the broader story that your brand is telling? And I'm going to give you a few examples. So I want you to meet Fatima. She is the founder of a company called Zora. Fatima is a member of House and a graduate of our Marketing Accelerator program, among other things. And she lives in Morocco. And Zora ethically produces and manufactures bean-to-bar chocolate, and they employ Ghanaian female farmers. Right? So a lot to unpack there, a lot of storytelling there. Her entire brand is based on her resounding mission that workers, women, and families are exploited in mega chocolate producing regions in Africa. And while she's selling a chocolate bar, just like any other chocolate bar you could buy right off the shelf, and also her chocolate bar is like 20% more expensive than other chocolate bars because she has a very transparent supply channel and manufacturing channel. So she has to raise her prices in order to make sure that wealth is dripped down back to the farmers, which is the community she ultimately cares about, right? That's the story that her brand is telling. And her story is genuine and true to her. And that's what makes Zora special. And we'll talk a little bit later about some myths and some misconceptions about branding. But Fatima is a really good example of someone who really believes in a broader mission. She is creating something that's highly commoditized, and she's using her business to tell a bigger story for this bigger mission that she loves and that she cares about. So that's a very impactful and very social enterprise driven example. So let me give you another one. So this is Shannon. She is the founder of BPAC for Women. She's also a member of ours and a Lucy Lab graduate of our Marketing Accelerator as well. And she has a subscription-based service that delivers monthly products to help women improve their vaginal health. And what I love about Shannon is she sat on her idea for 14 years until she was brave enough to tell her personal story of urinary health and turn her brand into more than just yet another subscription service box. She recently won a $25,000 grant from Amex, which is amazing. And she created her first ever conference called Moms That Pee Their Pants, where she ended up getting almost 2,000 people to sign up for this conference. She had never created a conference before. She had never done anything like this. And she was able to secure over 20 brand partnerships through the conference of other brands who were like, yes, sign me up for women's health. Sign me up for radically changing how vaginal health is talked about and destigmatizing women's issues. So Shannon really uses her unique personal story, and she's allowed me to share this publicly, so I can I have permission to share this with you. She once had a UTI that lasted for over 2 weeks, and when she became a mom, her urinary incontinence and her vaginal issues just absolutely went out the window. It just became so much worse. She had to get a special surgery, and it was just a really uphill battle for her. And so she didn't tell anyone the story for over 14 years. And after talking to her, I was like, girl, your story is like that's what people are going to relate to. And if your brand is all about destigmatizing shame, then we have to be brave to talk about your experience. And so as soon as Shannon just sort of like unleashed herself from this fear, her business was able to really soar because of it. And the reason I really like these two examples is because Shannon's is obviously very personal, right? Her personal story and her personal experience plays a huge role into the brand. Whereas Fatima, she hasn't personally been affected by exploitation. However, being from Africa and someone who is genuinely passionate about the Ghanaian community, her brand is using its voice to spread its story. So Shannon is the main personality behind the brand of Pack for Women. Fatima isn't. Fatima's experience and her love for her mission drives her brand forward, but she isn't the spokesperson of her brand. Zora has its own mission, its own identity outside of Fatima. So those are kind of some examples as you kind of think about what kind of business do you have? Are you the main person standing in front of your business? Are you the reason? Do you have some special story that people can relate to? If so, you may have to position your brand like Shannon, where you are at the forefront of it. And if not, if you don't personally have a story that's compelling for the brand, which is absolutely fine and okay, does your brand stand for something more? Does it represent something greater? Is there a bigger dialogue that you are having outside of just, I sell this, or we're better, cheaper, faster? Because that's no longer good enough to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. And it's no longer a sustainable option. So hopefully those two examples kind of give you some ideas and are kind of getting your brains moving on how you can use this concept for your own business. And so that's the question. What story is your business telling? And I love to share, I mentioned before, you don't have to change the world to have a great business, right? You don't have to be saving the planet, rescuing turtles, saving elephants, whatever it is, to have a successful business. It really just needs to be something that you care about. And that could be anything. It could be plants, it could be kids, it could be sustainability, it could be women, it could be animal rights, it could be LGBTQ rights. I mean, it could be so many things, but it has to be something that you care about because your personal values are inexplicably connected to the brand values. So the sooner you can merge those two together, the more storytelling capabilities your brand will have and the more differentiation you will create over time. And someone that I really admire, she said this once a few years ago, and it really stuck with me, which is stand for something or sit down. And obviously, the United States is a very tumultuous place right now in terms of socio and economic and racial divide and political rights and all the things, right? So that aside, which it's even more critical now for brands to have a point of view, whatever that point of view might be. So that's really the goal here, is to stand for something. And if you're not going to stand for something, then you might as well just sit down and make room for the rest of us who do want to stand for something. And again, I don't say that to be scary or negative, but that is the key ingredient to positioning your brand in the marketplace to be successful. Okay, so moving on, I want to talk about top three branding myths and mistakes that I've seen founders make across the board. I've even seen really big companies make these mistakes as well. So the first mistake is your brand is your product, your logo, your website, and your name. Your brand is not those things. That's absolutely not true. Now, don't get me wrong, your product is absolutely important. Your logo, yes, should be important. Your website, all that stuff is important, right? But at the end of the day, your brand, those are just the surface elements of your brand. Your brand is the collection of core values that create the fundamental promises that you make to your customers. I'm going to repeat that again because I know it's a lot. Your brand is a collection of core values that create the foundational promises you make to your customers. And these are not core values that you just like think about one day and throw up on your website and call it a day. These are values that you deeply, deeply care about. And I'll give you an example. For So House, our logo is an elephant. Has absolutely nothing to do with marketing whatsoever. However, from the very beginning, I knew that I knew that I wanted to build a social enterprise. I knew that giving back financially and economically in some way was very important to me. And elephants have long been my spirit animal for a bunch of different reasons, but the the primary reason being is because, one, they're matriarchal societies, so duh, right? That's all. That's going to be very important to me. Second of all, the lead matriarch is chosen by her herd, by her ability to problem solve, be compassionate, empathetic, and pass down generational knowledge, right? So she is responsible for leading her herd, for being a decisive leader, and also by listening to what her herd has to say. Elephants are incredibly dynamic, social, intelligent creatures, and I personally believe that we as humans have a lot to learn from their behavior. And so when I thought about my second company and the values I wanted my company to have, I wanted those values to represent the values of matriarchal systems in elephant families and herds. And so that's why our brand is an elephant. And so we give up to 10% of our educational revenue to organizations that rehabilitate African elephants. So we are a true social enterprise in that way. But also, me having to figure all of this out the hard way over the past 10 years, I really take that to heart, this idea of like, let's pass down generational knowledge, right? Like, let's not make this more difficult than it already is. Women already have so many obstacles put in front of us when we want to build our businesses. Let's make sure that we are passing down information that can help them get to their place faster. And so that's a big part of what we do here at Sew House. And so for all of those reasons, you can kind of see now how our brand has taken shape and how our brand platform looks a certain way. And what's interesting is none of that, as I said, none of that is about marketing. Marketing is a service that we sell, but it's ultimately not what we're doing, right? What we're doing is we're empowering and encouraging women to live their lives by their own rules, to not have to slave away at a 9-to-5, to build businesses that they love, whether that's you're going to be the next tech mogul, or you just want to build a really amazing Etsy store that brings you a lot of joy and that allows you to spend time with your family, your kids, your loved ones, whatever, travel, just live your life. That's really ultimately what we're about. And so, yes, our logo is important. It represents us. Yes, the name is helpful, but that's not really what the brand is about. So hopefully that gives you a really tangible example. And without your brand values, promises, and beliefs, your business has no differentiating factor at the end of the day, right? Because there's going to be someone down the road, down the street, down the internet somewhere that is going to be selling some version of what you're probably selling. And it's really difficult unless you have completely produced something that is so inexplicably unique and not done, which is very rare, right? We're all just doing some version of what someone else is doing. So that's really where these brand values and these promises and doing this hard work is a true fundamental for your brand positioning. And what's really cool about this is that you, as the founder, you get to decide what your brand values are, right? And the difficult part about this is that nobody else can create this for you. You can't really outsource this strategy to someone. You can't say, hey, famous marketing person or whatever, I'm going to pay you $gazillion and please help me, please create my brand values, right? This really has to come from you. This has to come from the founder. This has to come from your core, your belief system. Certainly you can work with someone to have them tease that out of you, absolutely. But you know the vision of your company better than anybody else. And you know your personal values better than anybody else. And so that's going to drive the value of business. So ultimately, this has to come from within. And that's why this is so difficult sometimes to do, is because it takes a significant amount of internal work to really say, well, why am I doing this? Like, I know I started this, but like, why do I deeply care about this? So I encourage you to take a pause and think about that for your business. Write it down and take a stab at it. And over time, your brand positioning and your brand values will become more clear and more refined. But just having a general idea of what they are is a really, really good place to start. So another common myth and mistake is that your brand must be relevant to everyone. That is absolutely not true. And the example I gladly will share is Fatima from Zora, right? Is Zora relevant to everyone? There are absolutely going to be buyers who are like, I do not care about gunning and families. I do not care about specialty chocolate. Like, give me my Hershey's at bulk. I want to buy my Reese's peanut butter cups, buy the bag of 50 or whatever it is, right? Obviously, I'm grossly oversimplifying. But the point is that your brand cannot and will not be relevant to everyone. And that's actually what we want. We want your brand positioning statements and your values to be so clear that you actually deter people away from your brand. Because by doing that, your brand ends up naturally filtering out people who are not your early adopters, who are not your ideal customers, right? And we do not want to spend time on cultivating relationships with those customers anyway. We want to spend time cultivating relationships with customers who deeply resonate with your brand and what you're doing. Those customers will pay more, they will stay around longer, they will be higher retaining customers, and they will refer their friends, right? So in Zora's case, someone who does care about fair traded chocolate, they do care about specialty chocolate. Chocolate is maybe more of an experience to them than it is a commodity. They gladly will pay the 20% more for Zora's chocolate bar, and they will be repeat customers over someone who just simply is not about it. So that's another big thing I'd love for you to take away today, is that if you are actually not deterring people from your brand, then your brand isn't strong enough. It doesn't have a strong enough positioning statement. Okay, last one is another common myth and mistake, is that you have one shot to get it right. This is also not true. Branding is not a one-shot deal. It is ever evolving, and it continues to modify based on your growth and your learnings. I love to share that it's really about progress over perfection. We have a lot of recovering perfectionists in our community. They have self-identified as this way, and we work on this daily. When I launched So House in 2016, the brand looked completely different than what it looks like today. I had no idea that we would launch a membership. I had no idea we would launch an accelerator. Has been a natural evolution of our services and our product offerings. But at the end of the day, our lighthouse is really our mission and our brand platform that I shared earlier. And the reason for that is because I grew as a founder, we matured as a business, so did our values, so did our beliefs, and how we service our customers and what they needed from us has evolved since that time. And so it's really about progress over perfection. And again, I know I'm speaking very broadly here, but there are always exceptions to the rule. However, I see women in particular struggle with this a lot. We have this fundamental need to want to have it all figured out at once, or we want to know where the end is before we ever even get started. And unfortunately, that is not what entrepreneurship is. Entrepreneurship is this. It is jumping off a cliff and building the plane on the way down. So you really are not going to know what the end result is going to look like. So the sooner you can get comfortable with that, the sooner you can allow your business to shape shift and adapt according to what you are seeing in the market, according to what you are hearing from your customers. And your brand will end up becoming so much more than you ever even thought it could be whenever you first started the business. Okay. And so I know that was a lot. I know I just dumped a lot on you in 45 minutes. So I always love to kind of end this with what's it take to truly be an entrepreneur. It takes hard work, dedication, and the occasional ugly cry. Of course, it also takes resources, support, community, mentorship. And the more clear you are on your bigger vision for your business, the trials and tribulations that you experience as an entrepreneur will become much more easier to navigate. Your conviction and your belief for what you do will carry you through. So hopefully that's inspiring to you. Hopefully this is resonating with you. I'm really looking forward to kind of answering questions. I mean, obviously you guys could probably tell I could talk about this all day. So what I'm going to do at this point before we do questions is just give you some options for how to connect with us, how to connect with me. We can talk offline later, or however you want to engage is absolutely fine. If marketing and branding is something that you really struggle with or it holds you back, of course, you're absolutely welcome to get connected to us through our membership community. It's evolved a lot over the past year. We're relatively new to the market, so our members really help us curate our membership experience. I'll include the link here in the chat as well for those of you who are just interested in learning more about it. We offer an annual membership as well as a quarterly subscription. It's full of goodies. Some of the highlights are Our members get access to our House Vault, which is our entire library of marketing classes, workshops. We have downloadable guides in there, templates, materials. We have affiliate links from partners. We have all kinds of just awesome resources in there. We also host member-only fireside chats with amazing mentors and successful womenpreneurs and marketing experts. We have a member and mentor directory so that our members can get access to mentors and collaborate with other members and use each other, share content, collaborate, whatever they want to do. We have a private Slack channel, and we have a number of other perks as well. So I definitely encourage you to check that out if that feels like something that resonates with you. Some other things we've got going on that I wanted to share with you if membership is not your thing. If you go to sauce.com, which is our website, all of this is on there. We host a once a month free masterclass. These are 90 minutes long and super comprehensive. So anyone is welcome to sign up for those. We actually have one happening this Wednesday on social impact. So how to use your marketing as a driver for social impact, which is going to be a really, really good class. These are recorded and uploaded into our membership vault, which is really convenient for our members if they want to circle back or they weren't able to attend live, what have you. You can find that under workshops on our website. I mentioned a couple times, we also have a formal marketing accelerator program, which is exclusive to female founders. It's called the Lucy Lab. Our elephant's name is Lucy, so that gives you some context. This is a 6-week program that I personally lead and have curated. It's super comprehensive and really perfect for that founder who wants a marketing coach and like serious accountability over a certain period of time. You can find that under Accelerator. And then we're also launching a 6-month marketing mastermind here over the next month or so. These are really for like advanced members or advanced founders who kind of feel like they have the basics down, but they really want like, bi-weekly accountability and strategy session. I lead those as well. So we're going to be launching that over the next month or so. I will put the link in the chat for those of you who are interested in that. Let's see, the last thing I want to share with you is we have something happening at the end of this month called Demo Day. So our marketing accelerator program ends with a live pitch competition. This is basically where the founders who participate get to pitch their businesses live to a panel and a virtual audience. You are all welcome to attend to see the founders pitch their businesses. This is not a Shark Tank scenario. This is not an investor pitch. This is really about how clear is your product market fit? How clear is your business viability? Can you clearly and concisely under 3 minutes say exactly what you do, who you help, how you help them, what's your go-to-market strategy, all that stuff in under 3 minutes? You can imagine how difficult that might be, but that's what our founders learn in the program. So I'm, would love to invite you all to attend. Our tickets are on sale right now. And so Savvy Ladies is a partner, which I'm super excited about. And so we're offering a 10% discount to anyone from the Savvy Ladies community. Tickets are on sale for $19, so they're really affordable. And all of our ticket proceeds go back to be reinvested into future programming, accelerator programming, which is really cool. So that's kind of everything we've got going on. Would love for you all to engage at some level that makes sense for you. Be happy to help you in your journey any step of the way. And I do have a little freebie for you for coming. So one of my favorite things that we created last year is a completely customizable brand guideline template. This is amazing. We have a PowerPoint template and Google Slides. And so if you want to visually put like your brand's mood board, your tone of voice, your values, your logos, your colors into one comprehensive document to really help you see your brand in one place, brand guidelines are a really, really good place to do that. So I will put a link in the chat right now so that you guys can download that and get that. Let me put that here. Okay, so that's a brand guideline template. At minimum, I highly recommend you download it. It's very helpful. And there's a bunch of notes and stuff I put in there to help you get through it. So that's a talk. So thank you for listening. Thank you for coming. I put my personal email here. Please follow us on Instagram at House Inc. My personal Instagram, if you want to see my snarkiness and my mom life, is Jessica_Korthuis. You're welcome to follow me there as well. I'm happy to take any questions that you guys may have.
Thanks, Jess. That was great. I'll remind everyone, if you have a question, you can use the chat box, or you can also use the Q&A section here as well. And we will send a follow-up email with all of the information that Jessica shared as well. So if you didn't have a chance to copy the link or write down that website, we'll be sure to send that too. So we'll get started with Q&A, Jess. So the first one.
Okay, I'm ready.
Great. Thank you for this, Jessica. I struggle with the balance of marketing. I'm very active on LinkedIn and have posted a few times, as I personally lose interest when folks overpost. So want to be respectful to others on LinkedIn. Do you have some thoughts on that?
Is the question related to LinkedIn or just general fatigue? So this is what I'll say to that. So another fallacy, which I could have put in here, is that as female founders, we especially feel the pressure to be on all the platforms and do all the things. And then it's like, oh God, then there's TikTok. And there's like, oh shit, now there's Clubhouse. And we're just like exhausted from publishing content. So general fatigue. Okay. So first and foremost, you do not need to be on all the platforms to create a really successful business. You can just pick one or two platforms that you personally really love. So Anna or Anna, I don't know your business, but it really comes down to who is your customer and where HR consulting. Okay, so LinkedIn makes sense for you. So who's your customer and where are they digesting content related to your field, right? So HR consulting, probably not going to be Pinterest too much, I imagine, right? So that's really the first place I tell founders to start, is think about really who their customer is, where are they consuming content online related to your business? And then if that platform resonates with you, then pick that platform. If it doesn't resonate with you, then don't produce content on it, because at the end of the day, audiences are going to feel that you're like, oh, I hate this, or I'm exhausted with this. And that's not going to help your brand long term. So, general fatigue. The other thing I wanted to say about that is we are always so obsessed about like how to hack the algorithm and like, post Monday, Wednesday, Friday from this time to this time. And that's really a game that you'll never win. And so at the end of the day, find a platform that works for you, find a scheduling process or system that works for you. And at the end of the day, it's really about consistency over anything else. You'd be better off posting on LinkedIn once or twice a month and being really consistent about that post and intentional about that post than posting sporadically and really not having a strategy. So hopefully that helps.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jess. Another question for you says, it seems very hard to know how to market when everything out there seems to offend someone. How do you work with this and still state your values?
That is a great question. So for the longest time, I never overtly, never's a hard word. For the longest time, I deterred my team from touching politics or religion, because I was like, I just feel like these are topics that we don't need to be getting into. And this is before 2020. This is before Black Lives Matter. This is even before the Me Too movement, right? But then all these huge things were happening in these different communities. And I just felt that we were being complicit at some point and we needed to take a stand. And so I think about a few years ago now, maybe about 3-ish years ago, we are very liberal in our views. We, as soon as I started posting support for Kamala Harris this year or last year, as soon as I started posting, I've always been an advocate for the LGBTQ plus community. I've always been an advocate for just other things related in that space. And as soon as I started posting that, my personal followers dropped like significantly. And I'm not the only one. I have a lot of friends who are like mega influencers. I am not. I only have like 5,000 or so followers, and my Instagram is really more just for me than it is for anything else. But I do know several pretty big influencers who experience the same thing. And so what I'll say to that is that you are going to offend someone no matter what you post, truly at the end of the day. So it really is just about being true and specific and just true to you. So if you're going to post something that someone else is going to find offensive, that's going to happen anyway. So you might as well post something or take a stance or a point of view that you deeply, deeply care about. And that's really kind of all I can say about that is, our brands will not be relevant to everyone. You will lose customers if you take a stance on one issue over another. However, the flip side is that you will gain customers, allies, and partners because someone who didn't know that about you, who also has the same views as you, whether it's political, socio, whatever, religious, doesn't matter. Someone will go, "Oh, I had no idea you felt that way. Me too." And then your brand will start to create new relationships in a deeper and meaningful way. So again, hopefully that was helpful.
Okay, thank you. I see we have a few more questions here. So the next one says, if I sell online on platforms like Etsy or Shopify, can I still tell my brand story, or only if I have a website?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there's a lot of space on Etsy and Shopify to tell your brand story. You can put it in descriptions, you can put it in headers, and your brand story is not something that you just stick out on one place. Like this is like an ever evolving, growing ecosystem of like dialogue, right? So you might have like a signature in your email list. You might mention it on your social media channels. Maybe trying to give a really good example. Okay, so someone that I know, she actually makes these earrings. In fact, these are like made from clay. They're handmade. She is a white mother who has adopted a African American little girl. Her name is Penelope. Penelope, they call her P for short, and she deeply cares about adoption and this process and all the things related to adoption. Her business has nothing to do with adoption, but in her packages, in her like cards, like her little thank you cards in her box, she has like some resources and some links to better educate yourself about how adoption works, if in case someone's interested in learning more about that or supporting that in some way, shape, or form. So that's another really good way to kind of sprinkle your brand values. It kind of depends on how you want to do it and where you want to put it. For her, it makes sense to make a cute little note in her thank you box whenever she ships her earrings. So you don't have to put it in one or two places, is my point. You can kind of sprinkle it everywhere throughout your entire brand experience.
All right, great. Thank you. Thank you for those tips.
Mm-hmm.
I believe this is the last question, and it starts off by
Okay.
saying, thank you, Jessica. That was very insightful and helpful. Wanted to share that with you.
Sure.
Does Sew House offer any services to help create and run marketing for small businesses on a project basis? Or are the services more about teaching entrepreneurs to do it themselves?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I don't consult anymore. I stopped consulting a couple years ago. However, I've received a lot of requests for similar types of engagements over the years. And so what I'll say is our membership is very much DIY. It's for that founder who wants to get in there, learn the basics, kind of figure it out, try some things, do some things. The accelerator is for someone who wants to do that on a expedited, within a limited time frame. So the accelerator is a great fit for some, not a great fit for others. The other option is the mastermind. That's the new service that we're launching this year. And it's really for that particular reason, because I was getting a lot of feedback and requests from our members saying, hey, we've kind of gone through the DIY stuff. We loved it. Now we're ready for the next thing. Now we're ready for some one-on-one coaching, like some help. Like, how do we actually implement these things on a long-term basis? So I would say if you're interested in that, the mastermind would be a really good place for you to start to check out. Let me do one thing. Let me stop sharing my screen here just for one moment. And let me go back and give you the link for the mastermind in case anyone's interested in learning more about that.
Okay, great. And we will also make sure that we send it in the follow-up email too, but we'll let you
Fabulous.
put it in the chat. Thanks.
Yeah. So the mastermind would be probably the best solution for that.
Okay, great. So we'll leave that up there. And again, we'll put that in our follow-up email. Jess, I'm not sure if you had a chance to look at the chat, but some messages thanking you for this presentation today. And the question that you had asked at the start definitely resonates with a lot of the women here. And we have some mompreneurs on the call. And I just wanted to share that with you and say thank you so much for presenting today for Savvy Ladies. And we are very excited for the next 2 sessions that you'll be presenting again in May. We'll be sure to send those links to everyone so you can attend the next 2.
Yes, and those are going to be based on content. So how to create content that actually converts, what type of content you should be making on certain platforms, what content works on better on which platforms and others. And then the other one will be marketing metrics that matter. So how do we not get consumed by the follower count and really look at metrics that will actually move the needle in the business? That's going to be, I think, number 2, number 3. I can't remember what order they're in, but those are the next 2 that are coming up.
Okay, great. We'll be sure to send that in our follow-up email. I want to thank everyone for joining us today and asking some great questions. And thank you so much, Jess. It was really great. And thanks for sharing all of these tips. And as I said, we're very much looking forward to the next 2 sessions with you.
Awesome. Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having me. And, anyone is welcome to reach out to me anytime via Instagram. You can email me for any reason. And, we're happy to support you here. No matter where you are in your business, and definitely take that free download. That's great. And also sign up for some free classes. That'll be a really good place to get your feet wet as well.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Have a good week.